What is going on? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today it is a mock draft Monday. So that means that we're going to have our mock draft 2.0, which is going to be a one round, no trades. We're going to have a trades draft come tomorrow because, of course, I like to factor that in after the Monday night game. So if you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube jazz. We're on our way to 10K. And also a super fun announcement. There is a non-insignificant chance that Marcus Whitman, that franchise guy, and I are going to be meeting up here in Dallas. It's a tight schedule, but it's we're trying to coordinate that right now. So that would be super fun if that does happen. Obviously, check out the Twitter page because I can guarantee you I'll be posting it there, or join the Discord because I'll be definitely posting it there. All that is free for you guys to join, so you guys can have even more fun. Let's get right into this. Pick number 1, I said no trades. This is the one time I will do a trade. And I did this last week. I'm going to do it again because the Bears were primed even better to make a trade up similar to this. I don't think it's going to cost both 3 and 5 because ultimately, if the Cardinals do not want to go Caleb Williams, they are essentially going to get the same exact players that they were going to. So you're essentially losing nothing for this. Am I going to trade nothing? Hell no. It's still going to cost a shit ton. So if the Bears want to move from 3 to 1, I believe that's roughly 800 points. It's roughly a late second and then maybe a next year third. And I think that's pretty fair. I mean, given what they have right now, they could be giving up like a third round this year and Carolina's second round next year. You guys can play with it as much as you want. Again, it's not going to affect this mock draft regardless unless I trade 5, which I don't think it's going to take 3 and 5 to trade up to 1. Just got to be honest. Like, maybe it will take this, and Bears fans, feel free to mess around with it just to your heart's desire. But since it's not affecting anything, we're just going to send it on through. So the Cardinals pretty much get the exact same players that they're probably going to take for them anyways. And the Bears get Caleb Williams. I think we've come to the realization that, Justin's not the guy. I know that a lot of people want to get Getsy out there as well. Hopefully we can do that. And maybe we're going to have a new trajectory for the organization here with Caleb Williams. It's going to be hard to screw him up, and then knock on wood, it doesn't happen. I feel like this would be one of those spots that Caleb could potentially say, I'm not going to go to, because he's pretty much the more polished version of Justin Fields. To be fair, that means the offense is kind of made for someone like Caleb, but at the same time, could also mean he has the same mistakes and the issues that Justin Fields has been having. But regardless, the Bears end up snagging Caleb Williams at number 1 overall. No more trades for the rest of the mock draft. Essentially, if I didn't do any trades, it would end up being the same picks anyway. But this is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, he clocked in, I believe, 23 miles per hour running. Yes, I don't believe that was with pads on, but this still shows that he has an extreme top speed, which is wonderful. And, I don't really need to explain Marvin Harrison Jr. too much. You guys know how it is. And I'll be coming out with a wide receiver ranking video as time progresses. I want a little bit more all 22 for 2023 to start dropping, so then I can actually update everything. Then we'll be getting some more of those positional rankings coming back out with the new format of my grading scale. Speaking of that franchise guy, kind of parroting off of him. Pick number 3. Now, I think investing in the offensive line is not an awful idea here, but we did that in the past draft. I think this team has enough draft capital, especially at this point, to be able to snag higher upside interior offensive linemen, for example, because I forget who that left guard was, but certainly not the best man on planet Earth for the job. Intriguing how randomly my board just did an RIP right there, but that is A-okay. Regardless, I think that when it comes down to it, corner is still a huge position of need for this team. And there you go. You guys get to see the rest of my board. It's bugging me. But I think this class is super thin at the elite corner position, and Kool-Aid McKinstry is just such a baller. I'm a big fan of him, so very excited to put him there at number 3. Marvin Harrison, Kool-Aid McKinstry. It's kind of my dream pairing for the Cardinals because I like the edge rushers you do have. I just think they need a little bit more polish, a little more development. And drafting another young guy, not going to help out with that. You could, of course, do it in later rounds, but, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Pick number 4 for the Colts. Olu Fashanu just feels like the easy guy to be a shoe-in. Braden Smith actually has seemed more of a liability than Bernard Ryman, though. Just got to be 100% honest here. A little bit worried about that. Other positions of note, edge rusher is something you could address. I do like Kwity Paye quite a bit. I think he's continuing to step up and be an impactful player for y'all. I don't think you need to necessarily go and upgrade from that position. Quarterback, I love Anthony Richardson. Y'all know he was my QB2. Yes, in my last quarterback video, he was my QB5, but that's before, obviously, the end of the season, which is why this year I'm going to do a much better job at being able to update y'all right before the draft on all my positional rankings, because it's going to be a lot easier for me too, because we're going to have everything already set up. So, long story short, it's either going to be Kalen King or Olu Fashanu. And the fact is, I don't like the secondary. Y'all have known this. I've been taking Quilly McKinstry to y'all for a while now. I'm going to continue the trend with Kalen King, who I absolutely adore. He might be sub 6 foot, but this guy hits like he's a 6'2", 215-pound safety. Amazing in run support. Really damn good overall. He's definitely not a liability there for Penn State. I think he's a more balanced corner than Joey Porter was. Joey Porter had some major issues in man coverage, and Kalen King's a lot better in that regard. Maybe a little bit worse in terms of the field awareness, but that still makes him a top-tier zone coverage corner. Pick number 5, we're back with the Bears, who have drafted Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. I don't think that left tackle is necessarily the worst case. Like, it's not like the worst position. I shit on Braxton Jones, but that's just because I don't think he's better than Olu Fashanu or Joe Alt. Now, other positions of note, we could definitely go after a wide receiver here. I think this team is kind of desperate for it, but without Marvin Harrison on the board, as much as I want to go Johnny Wilson, just rep my boy, we're going to go pipe down for a second. So, unfortunately, we're going to pass on that, but fortunately, we are going to be going still to Florida State and going Jared Verse, because apparently we can't tackle Baker Mayfield, even with Yannick Ngakoue. So, we're going to get him with Jared Verse. Top-tier edge rusher out of Florida State from Albany, highest graded edge rusher in terms of pure pass rush grade. Pick number 6 for the Raiders. They're usually in a good position to draft a corner. And by the way, guys, this draft order is from the line, so it's actually Super Bowl odds. I did not make this. I should have mentioned that a little bit earlier, but it is from the line. But at pick number 6, the Raiders are here, and I think quarterback would be on their mind for sure. Drake May, certainly the guy who I'm going to be targeting at this spot because of the realism, because people are just writing Drake May. Joe Milton had some really scary reps during the pass game versus Florida, which obviously quarterbacks make mistakes. It does happen. And hopefully, we'll see the bounce back game. To me, the next game is kind of crucial to see how he responds to making a few mistakes here, a few mistakes there. But, I think this team, you're definitely going to be looking at offensive line or quarterback here. I don't think Brock Bowers is going to be the option. I don't really think many other people or many other positions / players available are going to be worth this selection. So I'm going to go, we could go Aiden O'Connell as the future of the team. I do think defensive interior needs to be addressed. I think linebacker needs to be addressed, just not with this pick. It's just not with this pick. So you might as well just go for the highest ceiling pick, and I guess that's Drake May at the moment. I like to blend my board with realism, and I have yet to adjust Joe Milton because I really need to see how he's going to do in that next game. Pick number 7 for the Broncos. Another team that I honestly considered moving up to 1 for Caleb Williams. I do think this team should be also in the quarterback market, but the offensive line hasn't been doing too many favors either, to be 100% fair. I do think they'll eventually go after a QB. If they're stuck at this spot, Shadur Sanders is a guy who I personally think might be on the short list of guys to sneak into the top 10, and here's why. He is able to remain composed under pressure. One, he has one hell of a drive. I don't like that video of him trying to poke some dude's eyes out. That's the one thing that really took me off guard. I know there's a lot of tension in that game. Obviously, that safety, I forgot his name, ended up doing a cheap shot on Travis Hunter and taking him out of the game. There's legitimate reason for getting that pissed off, not for losing your control and doing something dirty. But besides that one moment, he showed poise in a 2-minute drill, he was able to bounce back and still perform very well, granted against Colorado State, but performed very well without his top weapon. And that's awesome. I know that they have a competitive advantage, but Shedeur definitely showed that he had the playmaking ability required of a quarterback that will be in the NFL. To me, that might have vaulted him into the top 10. He's still, where is he on my board? He is right now at number 28. But again, this is yet to properly update based on what happened this past week. Pick number 8 for the Giants. So Brock Bowers might be the option here. I think I might just use him as a not rotational weapon, but rotating positional weapon. So we're going to go Brock Bowers here just because the value is too damn good. Could have taken him here for the Broncos, but I've never really seen Sean Payton, highly valued tight ends that way. I mean, I know Jimmy Graham was an absolute beast there, but during the more later years, you got to see guys like Adam Troutman and Juwan Johnson be the primary option there. So for me, I don't think that he'd value Brock Bowers over a Swiss Army knife in Shedeur, and plus it's lower value position. Pick number 9 for the Patriots. I don't think I need to explain going Olu Fashanu here. Hyper developmental, but he's just one of the more athletic tackles that I've ever seen. At his size, he moves like he's 290 and he's 320, which is awesome. I still think he has a lot of work to do, but you have some really, really good guys who have shown a lot of development there, like Cole Strange, like Michael Owenu, David Andrews as well. Like, you have guys certainly who are there who can help and have shown that the Patriots can develop talent. Pick number 10. This is going to actually be Joe Alt. I'm going to do it. I think this team needs to continue developing the offensive line. You could go edge rusher right here, but I think Joe Alt is going to be the right option. I'm starting to warm up to Chop Robinson, by the way. I need to study him a little bit more in depth. I'm still waiting for some more tape to come out, but he looks a lot more explosive consistently, and my big issue with him was consistency. I thought that he was going to be one of the guys who ended up rising up on my board because of that, but, again, I'm 100% honest with y'all always, and, me being lower on a player who's not consistent, I mean, it is what it is. I'm going to naturally not like a player who can't show up every single play. And Chop wasn't that last year. So good to see him start popping off this year because he's been doing a very solid job. Pick number 11, the Rams. So Matt Stafford, man, I feel like he has a couple more years left in him. Too bad a tackle like Alt or Fashanu aren't available because I would totally be in the mood to take him. The offensive line's been doing a pretty valiant job. You got running back Kyron Williams is kicking ass. Cam Akers has been doing pretty damn solid as well. Receiver wise, Puka Nacua, was a big fan of him coming out. He's been doing a good job. Your offense is performing way better than expected. Defensively, I have a weird feeling Jerzon Newton is right up your alley. He plays a whole slew of positions, and he feels like the perfect successor to Aaron Donald. So I'm going to give a shout out to somebody who I've been giving a shout out to for the past year, Johnny Jerzon Newton. So yeah, this guy is the best in terms of block shedding defensive interior I've ever seen. You got Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is the most ferocious and the best in terms of absolutely shellacking an offensive lineman. Jerzon is the best in terms of the offensive lineman can't keep their hands on him. They can't control him during a rep. I don't think he's nearly as dominant because Jalen Carter was special. He's the highest graded defense interior I've ever had in my entire life. So we'll preface it with that. But when it comes to just being unblockable, Jerzon is up there for sure. He right now is the second best defensive interior that I have graded all time. Again, not a huge sample size, but that does include Jalen Carter and all those other folks. So pick number 12. So Buccaneers, if you guys are at this point, Baker's been looking pretty damn solid operating your offense. I would be open to getting more offensive line help. I don't think this team needs that much. That's the reason why y'all have been winning, is because, just going to be honest, your team's been doing a pretty good job because it's a good team. And I might want to just take a QB and say, hey, let's see what happens. Now, the game manager role works really well. I could see Bo Nix being a very solid fit. I know there's some Bo Nix haters out there. I'm not one of them. Michael Penix might be a solid fit. Now, I'd want to see him perform in worse conditions, but Bo Nix has been at Auburn. And like Auburn, you get similar conditions to Tampa. So you definitely have seen him in those groggy environment. And I know that sounds like it's a little trivial, but it is sometimes what truly makes the difference between a guy who I'll pick here and a guy who I won't. So right now, Bo Nix is my leading target. Joe Milton, I still got to bring him up. This dude has a super cannon of an arm. Can you imagine just being able to launch 70, 80, 90 yards to Mike Evans deep? Like, it really does feel like a guy who could truly unlock this offense. But Bo Nix is the better game manager, and we're seeing that a game manager really does work. And Bo Nix has the higher upside. I'm going to go Bo. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I really do. So I'm going to stick my neck out for Bo for the time being because he's been doing a pretty damn good job this year as well. Pick number 13 for the Jets. We're going to be going offensive line. I know QB seems like the smarter move, but when you get Amarius Mims, who has played both left and right tackle reps, it's the right thing to do. It is. You just need to continue developing that offensive line. I know Mekhi Becton has not been honestly too shabby this year. I mean, I don't remember what I don't know if the pressure numbers have come out for last night, but I certainly know that he has not been reliable in terms of health, and Amarius Mims certainly can be the guy who unlocks this offense. Pick number 14 for the Tennessee Titans. Another team that's been heavily overperforming. They've been doing a good job. They know how to use Derrick Henry. They know how to use that offensive line well, and their defense is extremely clutch. So it's tough to find legitimate needs on this team. That being said, I do think that there are some players that could upgrade that offensive line. That's where I usually like to go. I do think that quarterback could be in the realm of possibility, even though there are reasons to hit the brakes on some of them. I do believe that you could end up continuing to address the secondary because I love Cameron Kitchens. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Now, you guys can push back on this. Feel free to. I'm going to go Cooper DeJean because best case scenario, you can play him anywhere. Worst case scenario, you're going to get a boss-ass top 10 safety in the NFL. To me, I think that's worth it. So I'm going to take Cooper DeJean here, who's a ball hawk, even a good returner too. Pick number 15. Say it with me. Michael Penix. He looks good in purple. That's the one reason why I really love the pick, but also he fits the system really well. Kirk doesn't look like he's going to retire, but he's up on a contract year. How many more times do you want to pay Kirk $40, $50 million when you can get very similar production from Michael Penix at a fraction of that cost, and you're going to get a very similar output. So you can invest more in the offensive line, in the defensive line, in the secondary, everywhere where you need to spend money, that's where you can. And this will free up a lot of that. There's not good enough corners to be able to say, I'm going to pay $50 million for this versus $20 million for that. So I think that's the best monetary and overall move for the team. Pick number 16 for the Steelers. With the groin injury to our beloved Cam Hayward, I do believe that we could be in the market for defensive interior. I'm giving up my aggression versus this stance. But at the same time, I still want to develop this offensive line. I really do. You got Kingsley here. You got Tyler Guyton here. You got Taliesin Fuaga, who is one of my favorite players who is not listed on here. To me, that is where my heart is still set. And other positions I could address, you could get maybe a third wide receiver. I mean, we just need to get an OC. Can we draft an OC at this spot? Like, honestly, we need to. But the secondary corner, again, I just said it wasn't worth it at 15. It's not going to be worth it at 16. Defensive interior, there are dudes here, but there's also really good value down the board. I don't think we're going to find that at the tackle position. And Kingsley feels like more of a Steelers tackle than Taliesin. And Tyler Guyton's a beast, but I think he needs a little bit more refinement. So we're going to go back and opt for Kingsley in this situation. Pick number 17. I don't know what's going on with the team that I had going 14-3, but the Seahawks come away with the OT win over the Lions. And, good for y'all. Defense interior, linebacker, positions I'm going after. This time I'll go Leonard Taylor because I went Chris Jenkins last time. Both of them have the same exact grade. But Leonard Taylor has a higher upside. So I think getting some extra defensive interior help, never a bad thing. Pick number 18 for the Packers. DB, certainly on the radar. A lot of people are saying that quarterback could be. I'm not going to go there just yet because, again, teams are in the mood for something like Jordan Love. So might be a reason to keep him. I'm going to go Cameron Kitchens here. Tyler Nubin is going to be something extremely exciting if you want to snag him, maybe with that second round pick from the Jets. But I kind of want to secure a supreme ball hawk because whether you have you now have Caleb Williams in your division. So you're going to need all the help you can get. You got a ton of pass rush, but I don't know. You need to get some help on that secondary, and Cameron Kitchens is going to be exactly the way to go. Pick number 19. This is going to be a quarterback. It's going to be Joe Milton, most likely. I mean, I just think that you need the higher upside. I'm not a huge fan of Desmond Ridder, and Desmond Ridder is not the focal point of the offense. It's Bijan Robinson. So why does it matter if who the QB is in terms of the wins, unless they can be someone who adds to the offense? Right now, Desmond doesn't add to the offense. Joe Milton can. And again, we're going to see what happens. He had a bit of a struggle with some lapses of judgment this past week. But again, I mean, we even saw Anthony Richardson throw, 25% completion percentage in his last game versus Florida State. And we got to see him over the offseason really work on his game. So I'm always open to giving players a second chance, third chance, fourth chance. Even my QB5 ended up being my QB2 with Anthony Richardson. Well, he was originally my QB2. But again, I'm always open to giving guys a 50,000th chance. Number 20, we got Emeka Buka. I'm not even going to think about who else is on the board. Keon Coleman is as well. It's the way the draft fell. I mean, there's not many teams that need a wide receiver up in here. Pick number 21. Of course, if there's trades, we're definitely going to be trading a lot of these picks, but we're going to continue the train with Chris Jenkins. Still have a lot of my top players on the board, but that's the way things roll. At pick number 22, we are going Keon Coleman. That changed things up from my guard pick with Christian Haynes. At pick number 23, we've already taken the top wide receivers. We have now taken most of the picks I would like for the Lions. So it's defensive interior or interior offensive line. And my number 10 player in the draft, Christian Haynes, is still available. So we are going to plug that right guard spot with a top tier player. Pick number 24 with the Texans via Cleveland. So, I got to admit, it was very nice being able to see CJ have some good plays in there. He threw for a lot of yards. A lot of that was in chunk time, to be fair, but still did a good job. I don't think that secured himself a franchise quarterback position. I don't. It was against the Colts. We're not good in the secondary because that's why I just took one corner for him at number 4. So let's not go parading just yet. But the offensive line is going to get healthier. The injuries in the offensive line are a big issue. Tight end is not valued in this offense whatsoever. You have Dalton Schultz, who is a top-tier tight end, who's done absolutely nothing. Wide receiver, I like Nico Collins. I think they are honestly pretty set. So offensively, I think they're fine. Now, where I think they can get some help, they don't really need the help. But when you get someone like Dallas Turner to pair up with his former buddy Will Anderson, you just take it. And D'Amico gets another Bama guy. It's a simple, easy put in. It's one of my favorite picks you can do for him. Pick number 25 for the Bengals. I mean, I wish they could just go after another edge rusher, but they can't. I do think that corner and safety are really, really good options. Nubin is a very solid one for this team. Obviously, Scott is going to be gone, so safety is fairly valuable. Kind of wild. I mean, James Williams being here is actually not that wild anymore. He's had a pretty rough year. But you got Keelan Bullock and Tyler Nubin, but I'm going to go for somebody who's thrived in the cold. And I believe he's 210 pounds. Tyler Nubin, he had a couple interceptions week number 0 or 1, and he's a really damn talented safety. So I know that he will be an addition, certainly not a subtraction for this team. Pick number 26, Les Dauphins. You don't really need it, but Jatavian Sanders has been going off. Don't think that he would be too shabby of an addition on the squad. I do think getting a higher upside corner like Kamari Lassiter would be quite nice for this team because you don't know how much longer you're going to have X. Jalen's not the youngest guy in the world. And this is a guy who certainly can learn and keep up with the top speed receivers because I think he'll be in that 4.2 range. So we're going to take a shot on Kamari Lassiter. Pick number 27, also another team where I love Kamari Lassiter. We have the Ravens. Now, the Ravens, I honestly might get Braylon Trice here and just say screw it. I mean, you can even get Chop Robinson at this point. But looking at other positions, I think corner, again, the big issue. And you look at Denzel Burke, you look at Jason Marshall. I think with the amount of injuries the Ravens have had, they have some PTSD of going after someone who's been dealing with some injuries here and there with Denzel. I'm going to go after Jason Marshall Jr. Pick number 28. This is another safety needy team. Kalen Bullock's a great choice. Could go after the linebackers as well. I'll scroll down so y'all get to see a little bit more of my board. You could even go the edge rushing position because don't know how much longer Leonard Floyd or Von Miller are going to be here. Could be a good time to invest in someone like Braylon Trice after getting rid of Boogie Basham. And honestly, I think that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go Braylon Trice here. And it's just going to go BPA. Pick number 29. Cowboys, again, they're looking red hot. Like red hot. They're doing a very good job. You got Terrence Steele there for the long run. I still think that interior offensive line is a good position to target. Granted, the interior offensive line, you don't really need to go after at the moment. But Troy Fautanu is a guy who I would love to potentially take for the squad. He is a left tackle right now, but he's built to be a guard. So you're going to kind of switch him and Tyler Smith in that regard. It really depends on whether Tyron Smith is going to be there. But you could look at tight end. I don't think that's valuable enough. Again, corner, I've been taking a lot of them. But Denzel Burke's the perfect guy to sit and develop. I hope that he stays healthy, and that's why I'm going to take him. But, Stephon wants to stay there a year more. Corner depth's huge in the NFL. And Denzel Burke is my number 3 corner in the class. It's just some teams are going to be a little bit anxious about a guy who took a step back and has been dealing with some consistent injuries. Pick number 30 for the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think they will continue to try to invest in the edge rushing room. You got JT Tuimoloau in here. But, really, Chop Robinson's intriguing. He's just a little too light for the type of role they're replacing. It would be of a JT Tuimoloau role. I'll go Laiatu Latu. I've been hearing all my Eagles fans talking about it. I really like Laiatu Latu. He had to medically retire because of a neck injury from Washington, and that could certainly drop his stock significantly. So that's why, on the edge, he's a pressure machine. I think that he really lacks the ability to use speed to power. And I think it's because he's over-reliant on his length of his arms to try to be a finesse edge rusher. At 265, you need to add both elements to your game to be a top-tier edge rusher. But this is probably a good place to go to learn from some guys who know a thing or two about that. Pick number 31 for the Niners. Chop Robinson's on the board, but I'm going to go after Graham Barton to play that right guard / center / left guard / left tackle / right tackle role because this guy is a Swiss Army knife. I know right tackle is the bigger issue, but I don't really trust the right tackles except Taliesin, and I've been taking Taliesin every single week for y'all. At pick number 32, this might be Taliesin Fuaga. Actually, no, you have the right tackle. Actually, that was above Tyler Guyton and Wanya Morris. I think Wanya's actually listed as a left tackle though. If that is the case, then I'm gonna take 2 picks here essentially. If Wanya is not the right tackle and he's the left tackle, we're going Tyler Guyton, which is the guy who I will eventually pick. If he is the right tackle, then I would be looking probably at Tyleik Williams at this spot or Mason Smith, even though Mekhi Wingo kind of popped off a little more than him, or Malik Neighbors, one of the 3. You know what? Screw it. We're going to go with the 4th player, Johnny Wilson, who is my number 3 player in the class. He's just been dropping a lot of open passes. That's a reason why I have not necessarily gone his route for maybe some teams that could be in the market for him, i.e., we could see the Texans being in the market for him, the Lions being in the market for him. But Johnny Wilson, not necessarily the exact fit that you're looking for, but sometimes you just got to go after talent. So that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. Come back tomorrow for mock draft with trades 2.1. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the 4 side. Peace.